Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another week. This week, we'll be discussing the liquidity test, or some like to use the acid test for self employed borrowers that are 1065 or 1120S. We're going to be discussing strictly Fannie Mae this week. I'm assuming a lot of people on here that are watching this video do not have a clue or not fully understand what a liquidity test is. I have seen a lot of my mortgage professionals that I deal with not fully understand what the liquidity test is when I bring it up. In short, the liquidity test is showing the business is currently positive on liquidity to their debts. The lender must use caution when including income that the borrower draws from the borrower's partnership or S corp as qualifying income. Ordinary income, net real estate income, and other net rental income reported on K1 may be included in the borrower's cash flow provided the lender can confirm that the business has adequate liquidity to support. There are two types of tests that we can use in underwriting. It is on the underwriter to determine which test suits the borrower best. We have the acid test, which is called the quick ratio. This test is considered to be used when the business relies on inventory. To calculate this, you would need to use the business's current assets with the inventory and then divide that by current liabilities. Then we have the current ratio, which mostly focuses on working capital businesses, which we would use the business's assets not including the inventory, and you divide that by their current liabilities. To make it simple, quick ratio refers to the one with the inventory, and current refers to without the inventory. I understand what I just said might be a little bit confusing to some, but let's break it down. To be able to accurately analyze the business, we are looking at the most recent year of returns, as this is the most accurate reported figures we will get. We cannot use P&Ls and the business bank statements for this specific guideline. Fannie wants us to look at Schedule L for 1120S and 1065. We are going to be looking at the borrower's assets and liabilities. For the assets, we need to keep a close eye on cash, which is line 1, column D. And we will also need to make sure we're looking at trade notes and accounts receivables, and we want to back out any bad debt. So we would look at line 3, column D. And then we would look at any other assets that is appropriate to our transaction. We will also need to look at the liabilities on Schedule L. We're going to be looking at accounts payable 1120 line 6 and 1065 line 15, both column D. We will also need to take a look at mortgage notes bonds payable less than a year, which is on 1120S is line 17 and 1065 is line 16, both column D. We will also need to include any other current liabilities on the 1120s or the 1065s, which on the 1120s can be found on line 18 and on the 1065 can be found on line 17, both in column D for the returns. Once we figure out our numbers, we need to see if our business is liquid or not. For the asset ratio, you would divide total assets by liabilities, and if you are 1.00 or greater, then your business is considered to be liquid. For quick ratio, you do the exact same thing, only you subtract your inventory, as inventory is not a considering factor for quick ratio. If for some reason you're getting 0.00 for liquidity, that means that your borrower's business likely does not report any Schedule L. You can assume that we have adequate liquidation and proceed. I want to give one really fast scenario for you guys. Let's say that we have 30K cash line and 5K in inventory, and our total liabilities are 8,000. If we're going on the acid test, we will just use 35,000, divide that by 8,000, and equals 4.38. We are fully liquid. We are good to go. But on the current ratio, we will do almost the same equation, only we do need to subtract 5,000 in inventory, and we would get 3.75 for our ratio. That's all she wrote this week, guys. Please make sure you follow, like, and subscribe, as this helps me really determine my viewership. Thanks again, and see you guys next week.